we're going to take it from the discussion we had yesterday. It's not a discussion. From what I said yesterday about the Twaka's issues and the development that we need as Zimbabweans, not just me. So I think there's something that we, the people of Zimbabwe, we, the people of Africa, need to be able to understand. The one thing we need to understand is we like it so easy. And I will tell you this, we like it so easy because we don't want difficult things. We don't want things that strain us physically, mentally. We want the simplest things. So we just get on with life. I will tell you why I say this. The first thing is, running our own countries. It's true, we all wanted independence, and to start with, let me say this, it was a difficult fight for us to get the independence that we wanted in every African country, which is true. But I think we thought that was the task at hand. Well, fine, that was another task, but the most important task was to overhaul the colonial system that was planted in our countries, the system that the country was sitting on. That needed to be done. But we all celebrated it, we still do, because we celebrate independence every year. But that's not the only thing we needed. We didn't just need political independence, we needed economic independence. But what we did was we celebrated and we're so happy that we forgot the difficult task that lay ahead, which was to overhaul the colonial system, economic system, the structures of our economies, which were not ours to. They were made by the people that had come to Africa. And we thought that was enough, which wasn't. I think if you tell me now, if we don't address those issues, if we don't address this, the most important things like the structure of the economies that we have in Africa, believe you me, 100 years from today, we'll still be the same Africa that we are today, being run by other people, being used to extract raw materials for the benefit of other continents. I know we are celebrating, and I know we are so happy that we don't have the West involved as much in our countries. We have the Chinese that are investing in Africa. But I'll tell you what I'm seeing from my own observation. The Chinese, they are Chinese. The difference is they are coming from the East. And they are not coming with bayonets, horses, and horse-drawn whatever carriages to colonize Africa. They are coming with this. For those of you who understand the politics, it's unfortunate that not everybody likes politics, but I think politics is everything we do on a daily basis, whether you are going out with friends for a drink. There is a lot of politics there in deciding where you go and have fun. It's when you go to have fun, where you are spending time and how much you're going to be spending. It's a political decision and people don't realize that. So the Chinese that we are celebrating as coming to Africa, they are just different people but the same motives. They are not coming to build our continent. They are not coming to give us stuff on a silver platter. They are not coming to correct the ills that our countries are struggling with. But they're coming to our continent for the benefit of the 1.6 billion Chinese people in China. And that's one thing we need to understand. Then the next thing is, They are not coming to promote Zimbabwean industries or African industry in general. They are coming to promote their own products. Finished. They are not coming to make Zisco steel, produce steel for the benefit of the country. No. They've got steel industries in China, and they're making products for the Chinese industries. Go online if you don't know what China is. It's building some of the best stuff, engineering, everything, space. They are doing everything. And where are they getting these raw materials? Some of them are coming from Africa. And some of the money they are generating, they are using to build all this, is coming from Africa. And we need to appreciate all of that. So the difficulty that we have as Africans is we hate doing the difficult stuff of overhauling the economic system. And there are so many ways in which we can do that. Most African countries have been enjoyed independence for more than 30 years. For Zimbabwe, it's 44. If for Ghana, I think it's way more than that. But we still struggle. We know why people are coming to Africa for. They're coming for our resources, gold, diamonds, and so many other raw materials. But we don't ask ourselves why these people are coming. What is it that we lack as Africans? Yet we've got all the resources. We lack the skills. For all these years that we've been independent, why don't we still have a diamond cutting education system? An education system that teaches people to cut diamonds, just like what they do in the West, in Asia, Saudi Arabia, Dubai, where everybody's going today. Why don't we have those sort of skills in Zimbabwe? It's interesting because when you look at Zimbabwe, for example, it has got beautiful educational institution. Everything that you can think of. And to go there, especially at the University of Zimbabwe, you need good points. 15, that's 3 A's at A level, to go there and do chemical engineering, to go there to study medicine, to go there to do this. But we still buy stretchers from abroad. Our ambulances still need those things imported from outside Zimbabwe. Yet we've got these industries. So until we change the way we do things in Africa, we're not going to realize the development that we want. We're not going to empower ourselves as Africans. So empowerment doesn't come in going out advertising the country to say, come and invest in us. Empowerment starts with building institutions that give skills to the people of the country to be able to do the difficult tasks, diamond cutting, melting gold, creating different artifacts. Then our products are sold outside Africa. Just like what the Indians do. Nobody ever knew that India produced cars. But India is selling cars in Africa today. But it wasn't always like that. India was a British colony. If you go online now, especially on TikTok, Indians are producing anything, tires, they're manufacturing bikes, motorbikes, everything. That's an education system that we need. And India, to be honest with you, in 5, 10, 15 years from now, will be another booming China in terms of development. We don't want to do the difficult tasks in Africa. We want to go abroad and order jeans, to go abroad and bring plastic products, to go, if you go to the open market, they're selling everything. Some of the things that, are written, sold, it's recycled material. It's recycled plastic. Are we saying we can't do those things? I know we can't do everything at this point, but we should be able to produce some of the things, because we have got all those resources in our country. We've got the raw materials. We have raw materials. We buy Cerevita from South Africa, but the wheat is in Zimbabwe, is grown in Zimbabwe. The corn is in Zimbabwe. The bananas are in Zimbabwe, but all those things are being manufactured in South Africa with the bananas that we grow in Zimbabwe. Juice, orange juice, we have got citrus in Chiredzi, Triangle, sugarcane, everywhere. But we still have those products imported from outside the country, and sometimes we run short of it. There was a time when sugar was a problem. So, for us to be independent is not about going for elections and choosing them. I would welcome an autocratic leader than elections, as long as the economy, we have got a functioning economy. I don't care who runs the government, as long as we've got a system that works for. Chinese people don't do elections, but their country, their economy is booming. So for me, the political independence is something else. I don't care about that. I want the difficulties. I want the government to restructure. I've listened to opposition parties in Zimbabwe talking about this. All they do is to talk about, the government this, but they don't talk about the real issues that the country is. Which to me, if they are like that, there shouldn't be a change of leadership, because what they are proposing is exactly what's there. We are managing as a country, we are servicing, we are surviving, but we want policies that make Zimbabwe manufacturing, that makes Zimbabwe self-reliant, that makes Zimbabwe use its own raw materials to produce finished goods. I don't think we start from the very top, but we start from the bottom. We want an education system that teaches people to sit down and think about what they want to produce, draw it down, draft it, make it, and then produce those things. That's an education system. So until we realize that the issues that we have in Zimbabwe today, in Africa today, are issues that have everything to do with colonial legacy. This is where I was coming to. Most of the issues that we haven't addressed the colonial legacies. We still have the same education system that created a service industry for. Our education system is still the same. Our economic structures are still the same. We produce raw materials, we go and sell. And for me, the coming of the Chinese don't make it any easier. They are making it even worse than it was. Don't get me wrong, China is the manufacturing the industry of the world. It produces for many countries. But the worst thing about us is we are dependent on other countries more than anybody else. And our policy doesn't make us, we don't negotiate from a good point. We are weak, which makes it a worry for me to think, we think we managed to get rid of the West, and the West are no longer controlling Africans. Yes, the Chinese are good for us because they don't want to come and stand, they don't talk about human rights, they don't talk about this, it's good for them because they are coming for money, coming for raw materials for their own industries. They shouldn't talk about politics, and I don't think it's their business anyway. But I think they are not doing any different from what the West were doing in terms of the development that we need as Africa. It's the West, because at least the Western world were coming in and they would allow us to, they would do an industry and teach us to manage, create employment. The Chinese are not doing that. So in some good jobs, they bring their own people to do those and leave us. But the worst thing they are doing is they're taking our resources when we think, and then makes us think they are coming in to invest. But a lot of people are still jobless. And they have made everybody a business person in Zimbabwe. which doesn't help. People are selling Chinese products in Zimbabwe. Our industry is being stifled. Even in some areas where we thought probably we were doing okay, I don't think that exists anymore. Probably chicken farming, but that's still primary industry. It's producing raw materials for other industries, which is why people fight to have to grow tobacco. The tobacco they grow is to grow tobacco and sell it at tobacco ocean floors. My point is, the Zimbabwe we need today, the Africa we need, is an Africa that has got its own industries. We've got a say in everything. I think we need an overhaul to do away with the political legacies. Yesterday I was talking about Mtwakas. It's one of those colonial legacies. Because we were told that if we speak the different language, we are different. But if we are so angry about whatever happened after independence in Zimbabwe, for example, and we want to partition the country because of that, and we say this is the source of our problem as a country, the development, everything, that's the source. Why are we not so angry about slavery anyway? In South Africa, they are up in arms against Semakwerekwere, which is not the source of their problem. The source of the problem is a colonial legacy. Why are they not wasting all these energies to fight the capitalist economic system that make them, put them in the kind of situation they are in? African problems are not what Africans are fighting for today. They're fighting, scraping at the very top, yet the source of the problem lies in the colonial legacies. Those are the difficult issues that people need to sit in parliament and talk about. Not to say, oh, the president, oh, this is corruption, this is corruption. The one thing that we need to understand as Africans is corruption is everywhere. In the developed world, the developing world, and the poorest country, corruption is there. The only difference is, probably in our situation, is we have got shallow pockets. That's why we think there is corruption. But corruption is here. I'll remind you, a few years ago, people were talking of MP expenses in England. That's corruption. It didn't stop a lot of things because their pockets are deep, but corruption is everywhere. The problem is we are fighting for nothing. The issues, the real issues, are the colonial legacy that we want to deal with. And we shouldn't be fighting at all. All we need to do is to try and address the issues, the real issues, not the scraping at the very top and fight black people fighting on their own, neighbors fighting. The real issues is we have got a colonial legacy. We have got colonial legacies that's creating all the divisions. All the divisions. That's causing us to fight black on black. That's causing South Africans to think a Zambian, a Zimbabwean is bringing problems to South Africa. When the person they are fighting is a poor person that's running away. You can't afford to put meals on the table. That's the person they are fighting. And they are leaving the person who created a situation, who has got billions. And I'll tell you, the colonial legacy is not just about those few. Even the mindset, we're still very colonial. We still colonize in our minds. And that's another thing that we need to fight against. So, African problems are not what we think are problems. The real problems are the underlying is the economic structures that were created that are not growing, that are not supporting the population, that don't recognize that the populations of Africa are growing, that don't seem to address the challenge that we have, that makes Africa just the producer of raw materials. And what the political leadership are just doing is to try and massage the issues, make them way, and they get the blame for that. Because we don't want the difficult task of overhauling the structure of the economic system that was created by colonialism. Devil is in shown us. You're fighting. For what? What is it? Yes, there are issues, post-independent issues. But if that is a matter that makes everybody angry, where are we with slavery? Which was done by someone who came from outside Africa. Where are we? Are they not the issues that we should be angry with? We are fighting now for those issues. The South African, the same. The South African people, they don't have anything. But they're fighting people who are also struggling. Why? Africans, we need to open our minds. Africa and Africans, we need to think deeper and look at the source of our problems and be able to address them. Not to fight amongst ourselves, because that won't help. That's not help. That's not making any difference. We will fight today, we'll fight tomorrow, and always we continue to fight. But that will not address the issues that we have. There's a lot that we need to do. There's a lot that we need to do. We shouldn't expect other people to come and address our issues. We shouldn't expect the Chinese to come and do anything, because the Chinese will come and fight for the Chinese people. There are 1.6 billion people in China. When they're coming to Africa, they're not coming to Africa to help Africans. They're coming to help the billion people in China. It's time we look at what the Chinese are coming for in Africa and see, why can't we put more, why can't we invest in using our own resources to make finished products? Why can't we do it? Why can't we do it as Africans? What is it that we do not have? Yes, the West are not coming to Africa, but that doesn't mean to say our problems are gone. Yes, the Chinese don't get involved in our politics, but politics isn't what we should be more concerned about. We should be more concerned about the economy, because the economy supports the people. The economy addresses most of the issues that we have in Africa. And the sooner we understand that as Africa, the sooner we unite as Africans, black Africans, and work together, the better. The better. Chinese investment in Africa is not for Africans. It's Chinese who are benefiting from that. The Chinese are coming from resources, raw materials for their industries. And I've seen the Chinese have been in Africa for so many years. And there's no manufacturing that I've seen anywhere in Africa that's making any difference. We still have the same issues. We have got things that are being shipped to China. So what's the point of celebrating Chinese investment in Africa? What's that investment? Yes, they built a parliament in Zimbabwe. So what? So they deserve to take our stuff for free. Is that what you people think? No. We want more. We want more. But more should not be coming from the Chinese. It has to come from us as Africans. We need to learn to think deeper and see where we have got issues. There are so many areas that yes, the Chinese investment is good in one way, but then there are areas that we can't support ourselves. There are areas that probably would say, I think we need support external foreign direct investment on these particular areas. But there are certain areas that by now we should be able to do our own stuff. I see Indians making motorbikes, making this, making that. I don't think we are there as yet, but are we on the way to achieving all that? Probably not. That's where the crux of the matter is. And I think all the anger that we have with each other, tribe, blah, blah, if we were to put the anger, that energy in turning things around for our continent, the better. The better. So I will end with this. The instability in Africa, and when I talk of instability, I'm talking of political instability, is all about the resources that we have, the economy. And the economies that we are fighting for are economies that were created by someone else. We didn't take no part in it. And those economies can't sustain the livelihood of every person that's growing. That needed to change, and that hasn't happened for years. And we still think the same system that we have will change, will make any difference. It won't. All we need to do is to think again and start looking at how best we can support ourselves, other than depending on these foreigners and whatever. It won't. I see us, I think, being an easy target going forward for second colonialism. And this time around, if it happens, we will never get the countries back from anyone. We will never. So I think it's a challenge for Africans to start looking at what is it that needs to change. What is it? It starts with our mentality. Our mentality, the love of our continent, the love of making sure we take responsibility, and we start being innovative, think, and say, I listened to Mtambara at one point. Mtambara was saying it's the need that generates when you see what's needed in a country, it will give you an idea of what needs to be done to satisfy that sort of need. And this is a challenge like to industry. We've got so many industries. There are so many things that Zimbabwean people want, so many things that Africans want. So because we know it should tell us exactly what we need to do to address sort of issues. But while it's good, it has been the system over the years that if there is water, we need to go to some other country to find a way of machines to come and drill. There are certain things that by now we should be able to make that ourselves. We don't need to go outside the country to buy drinks from South Africa, to make Cerevita, to buy Cerevita cornflakes from South Africa, when we have got the corn, the wheat in the country. We have got sugar. We can't be running out of sugar in the country and go and rely on these other companies that we don't know where they come from, when we should be. We have got billionaires in Zimbabwe, plenty of them. Billionaires, should I say. We should take that responsibility and start manufacturing in the country. That's how Africa can be independent. And the fighting that we are talking about, the difference is that this province is being let down, those are minor issues. There are so many issues that Africa has, and it's all because we expect other people to come and address them, when it should be ourselves. We should take the responsibility and turn the fortunes of our countries back round. Thank you.